Hi there, welcome to Aaron's Wine Talk once again. This is wine number 26, and we're going to taste a very good Gavi. Gavi is quite a popular wine with the market, especially the local Maltese market, and it's not easy to find a good quality Gavi. Well, this is one of the good ones, which is also fermented in oak barriques, French oak barrels, for a few weeks, and that will give so much complexity to the Cortese grapes. Yes, Gavi is made from Cortese grapes coming from the region of Piemonte in northwest Italy. In fact, this wine is made by Marchese di Luca Spinola, and he calls it Massimiliano. It is named, this is the marketing brand of this wine, and named after a person of their requirements, of their special needs. And Gavi comes here from the comune di Gavi, which means there's a small commune within Gavi, which is called Gavi. There are other communes and villages in Gavi, and one of them is Gavi. It doesn't mean that the wine is of superior quality, it just means that it comes from the commune, the village of Gavi. And it depends how you grow the grapes. You need good viticulture and good vinification techniques in order to make a good wine. And this wine, this Cortese, 100% Cortese wine, is made with good viticulture techniques using also biodynamic viticulture, like the one we assessed on wine number 25, the Pouilly Fumé. Totally organic, manure is used as natural fertilizers, no sprays. Everything is using the positions of planet, the stars, the moon, the sun, and that will give the style to the wine. It's amazing how these wines are literally natural in style. Quite a high level of alcohol is achieved in this wine, 14%, which is very rare to find in agave. 40% alcohol is something really high. In fact, the Marchese Luca Spinola calls it a limited edition, which means they don't make so much of these wines because they are quite premium and complex to make. The yields are quite cut low, in other words, in order to give much more quality to the wine. And Gavi is in northwest Italy, very close to Genoa, and very close to Liguria region as well. And it is the south part of Piemonte, where the acidity is quite high. That is typical Cortese. The alcohol is on a medium level, but amazingly enough, this is on a high level of alcohol. The vintage of this wine is 2017, so it is already 3 years old. And believe me, it is still not yet old. It still needs some more time in the bottle in order to continue developing. Well, you have a well-made Gavi here, which is a DOCG, Denominazione di Origine Controllata e Garantita. Gavi is always DOCG, but then it depends upon the quality you're going to take. This will going to be definitely a high-priced Gavi, not cheap, because good quality grapes are used in the production. When you have good quality grapes, you have a good quality wine. When you come to ferment, they vinify in French oak barriques, barrels, and that normally it's about 12 weeks with batonnage, lee stirring, in order to increase the texture in the wine and to give aromas of yeast, biscuit, and sediment styles. That will increase also the body of the wine besides texture and concentration. In fact, when you see the color, it's more of a medium intensity rather than a pale intensity with a nice lemon color. There is that hint, just hint of green, which is already going, it is vanishing, because after 3 years in the bottle, the green will change into lemon. So the wine is developing and still more to go. On the legs, wow, I'm quite amazed for the legs. The acidity is still high, so it still gives a medium leg style, not very high, not very strong. And therefore, this represents a medium level of alcohol, but because the acidity level is quite high, it literally puts down that alcohol and the viscosity in the wine. But definitely at 40%, this would be a very high alcoholic wine. On the nose, that is typical Gavi, ladies and gentlemen. The Cortese grape giving that herbaceousness, grassiness, and lots of limes. Limes is the citrus fruit which is typical of this grape. There's some grapefruit, there's ripe lemons as well. I get a bit of peach, a bit of apricot, good ripened grapes in the area. Not easy to achieve in Gavi. Apples, pears, green fruit. That grassiness is so beautiful and herbaceous. I love nuts, tertiary aromas coming in of nuttiness, almonds, hazelnuts. Secondary aromas of oak. There is that subtle oak. It's not that overpowering. I don't think that all the grapes were used in the production of this for oak, for this wine, because it is not so overpowering. In fact, it is so subtle that those vanilla aromas comes in really neatly and elegantly. It's not abrupt. This is a fantastic Gavi. I'm quite amazed. This is the first time I'm tasting these wines, ladies and gentlemen, and this is actually to improvise and to make it much more real and realistic to you in order to educate you better on wine. Wow, I love that secondary aromas of oak. That biscuit, bready sediment coming, lees, coming from the batonnage, we said, the lee steering, huh? MLF I don't get. Malolactic fermentation I don't get. I don't get that buttery style, but that creamy, slight creamy texture style is coming from the oak barrels. When you ferment an oak, some creaminess comes in. The vanilla style, sweet spices help it to give that creamy textured style. On the palate. Totally dry. Acidity is quite high over here on the sides of the tongue. Very mouth-watering, a bit steely. Sweet spices of vanilla coming out, more on the palate than the nose. But it's very subtle, believe me, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't overpower the fruit. The fruit is very limes, citrus fruit, a bit of peach, apricot coming in. Lots of ripe yellow apples and pears. Mineral herbaceous stoniness coming in. Chalky textured style. Herbaceous herbs as well coming in, sage, rosemary, very typical of most Italian white wines, with that nutty finish coming in of almonds and hazelnuts, which means that this wine is developing and is complex and will keep on aging for another 3 years for sure in the bottle. I would give it another 3 to 5 years for this Gavi, and it's very unusual to say that a Gavi will age from 3 to 5 years. The alcohol is helping it. It doesn't burn me at the back, 14%, meaning it's very, very well balanced. Quite medium bodied for agave. Normally they are lighter in body and style, but the oak is helping it to give it body. Plus the batonnage is helping as well to increase its texture and richness to the wine. Good intensity, both on the nose and on the palate, quite high on the fruit. That complex oak we said, complex terroir coming in, and the nuttiness typical of most gavis. I think that this wine literally deserves on the palate as well to age from 3 to 5 years. It's got good levels of acidity, good fruit, good complexity in order for that to happen. Well done to MKD Wines. Yes, Monte Cristo Wines import this this style of Gavi. I'm very, very much amazed. And thank you, Alexander, for this style. You really shared us something which is really important for the general public who love Gavi. And not easy to find a good Gavi around. So be careful on your choice of Gavi. Always find some consultation from people to help you in the choice of your wine. But yes, this is one of the good Gavis that we have in Malta, because there are other good Gavis that are present. But be careful what you choose. Yeah. Very good to pair with food. This has acidity. It combines the saltiness in the food, fatness in the food, shellfish, even meat dishes you can go, because the oak is helping it to give texture. So with meat, like fried meat, it will be really helping, and garlic, spices, matching the spices in the food, but the acidity in the wine, cutting the fatness of the frying in the meat, or the grilling in the meat, which will still help to give texture to the wine. You can go for a sauce, but very light. I would go for a plain steak, or a plain fish, grilled swordfish, grilled salmon, tuna, sea bass with sauce. There you can go with some cream. Acidity in the wine cuts the creaminess and the fatness in the food. Salty items as a starters for canapes as well, because the acidity cuts the saltiness in the food. They balance the saltiness in the food. So you got some good selections over there. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this wine number 26. We'll soon go for wine number 27. Thank you very much.